Well, tonight in our week-long series on the China problem, the communist nation has become increasingly emboldened due to what they perceive and the reality of U.S. weakness in the region, the historic collapse of Afghanistan, and, of course, the inaction by Sleepy Joe. China dispatched warships, anti-submarine aircraft, fighter jets, and other things to multiple locations off the coast of Taiwan yesterday to conduct joint live-fire assault drills in response to what Beijing says the provocation from the U.S. and Taiwan. Now, these exercises come as Beijing has stepped up drills around self-ruled Taiwan as it claims the Chinese territory in this past year. So for more on this, let's bring in former National Security Advisor to President Donald Trump, General Mike Flynn. Sir, welcome to the program. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
It's good to be here, Carl. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
It's our honor. So, China wasted absolutely no time in seizing the opportunity. They saw, okay, pure weakness. They're losing Afghanistan. Let's get in there. Let's start doing war drills. I mean, the Global Times putting out the article, Afghan and Abominated Lesson for the Taiwan. This is insane. So yeah. I'd like to get your take on what you see China moving into Taiwan and what that looks like.
Yeah, a couple of things. First, I'm going to describe briefly, China had really three problems that they were dealing with that they had to get resolved. The first one is the problem of Afghanistan, and that all has to do with this Belt Road Initiative that President Xi has been undertaking for the last decade, certainly for the last 5 years or so, which became very limited while President Trump was in office because of all the pressure that he brought to bear economically, particularly economically, but also militarily. So Afghanistan was the first problem that Xi had to kind of get out of the way. And frankly, what has happened over the last week and a half, and certainly over the last weekend, we have in Afghanistan probably the largest non-combatant evacuation exercise in the history of the world, if not the largest hostage situation in the history of the world, certainly in the history of the United States. We have a severe problem. So China was able to get Afghanistan out of the way. They are the biggest beneficiary. Afghanistan opens up a huge door on this drive for resources that China needed. And you have Iran, Russia, Pakistan, India, all surrounding that part of the world. And China is the number one beneficiary. The second problem that Xi has been dealing with is down at what's called the Straits of Malacca, which is between Singapore and Indonesia and control of the South China Sea. So that's going to be the next stage or next step that you're going to start to see China start to do some incursions into, if they haven't already done that with some of their air operations. The third problem, and probably the largest problem, is what you just highlighted, and that's the Straits of Taiwan and control of Taiwan. Mm-hmm. So what they have seen out of this administration, the Biden administration, is a complete apathy or any sort of appetite to really engage in any sort of stick type foreign policy where we demonstrate strength. So now what we're seeing, it's not just the naval operations, it's also flight operations. These flight operations have been breaking into the defense zone of Taiwan and overflying it for about a week now. So these are three major problems, all having to do with China seizing on opportunities that they see under this current administration of the Biden administration. Right. And they are going to take advantage of it. The one thing, Carl, you know this, warfare is not fair.
Nope.
And we should not think that our enemies, and I look at China as a military guy, as an enemy, not as a competitor, not as a country to cooperate with. The Commerce Department can think about them like that, or the State Department can think about them like that. But the military has to look at China as an adversary.
Yeah, and General, I got about 2 minutes left, but I really want to get to something that nobody's talking about: Pakistan, nuclear power right next door. Obviously aided in this in some way, or at very least didn't do anything about it. What's your take on where this goes? I mean, especially considering their nuclear capabilities.
Yeah, Pakistan is about a third of Pakistan is controlled by terrorists or a terrorist state, particularly in the southern part, which is Baluchistan. And for many people that don't know, the strongest relationship that Pakistan has with any other nation on the planet is with China. There's a port facility called Hadar down in the southern part of Pakistan that China has built, and it is a major strategic port for China to operate their naval forces out of down in the Arabian Sea and on that side of the planet. Pakistan is a nuclear-armed nation, and they have been harboring the Taliban and members of Al-Qaeda for decades, since the beginning of this thing. And they have taken us to the cleaners in terms of dollars and resources and just the type of things that have happened. And this is where the Taliban has harbored themselves for years and been able to get away with what they've been able to get away with, is because of what Pakistan has allowed them to do.
Right.
And so now, we should not be surprised at the situation that we are in. I will tell you, I feel for the men and women in the military that are there now. I really feel for the American citizens who have been told to just find, go find a place to hide.
Yeah.
I mean, this is insane. So anyway, China is the number one recipient of what happened in Afghanistan.
It really is.
We should not kid ourselves about that.
Well, General, I wish I had all day to pick your brain about this, but former National Security Advisor to Donald Trump, General Michael Flynn, sir, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Carl.